Going through QuickBooks earlier today, I realized that over the past year, we spent over $10,000 on SMS texting fees alone. That's what all these Twilio charges are for. So having spent that much money on texting, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share with you 5 things we learned about texting and how it can help you in your business, in your remodeling business, to acquire more customers. So let's get started. The first is you want to pay a lot of attention to the very first message that you send to your prospects. And you want to make sure that you ask a question in that message that is a no-brainer to answer. And I'll give you an example. And this goes for both database marketing, so if you're doing a rehash campaign, if you're reaching out to past leads, as well as following up with leads that you just generated through new campaigns. So an example of what not to do is you don't want to tell them what the offer is directly in the first message. So an example of that is, hey, prospect name, I wanted to let you know that we're currently running this special for $1,000 off your bathroom remodel if we have the in-person consultation before the end of the month. Would you like to schedule? So that's an example of what not to do because it's a big commitment to answer that first text. What you want to do instead is phrase it something like this. Hey, their name, it's so-and-so from your company. I saw you inquired about our bathroom remodel. Or our bathroom remodeling services. We're currently running a special promotion that could save you a lot of money. Would you like the details? So you can see the difference is slight, but the difference it makes in response rates is huge because asking someone if they want more information is an easier yes. And once you get them to respond once, the likelihood of them engaging in a conversation that has a favorable outcome for you is very, very high versus if they don't respond, there's not much you can do. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure that that initial text message is a no-brainer yes question. The second thing is don't send links in your text. And there are 2 reasons. The first is deliverability. When you send links, it's more likely that your message will not arrive. The same way there are spam folders with emails, in the same way with texting providers, there's something called filtering. Basically, what that means is if a message has certain components that the carrier finds suspicious, the message just won't be delivered. It's not even going to go into some different folder. So that's the first reason you want to be wary of sending texts. But the second reason is that once you send a link with an action that you want your prospect to do, you have no control of the process. So initially, when we started running campaigns like rehash campaigns, what I wanted to do is I wanted to streamline the process. The goal of these campaigns was always to schedule an appointment. And I thought, what better and more convenient way to do that than to just send a link and say, hey, you're interested, go ahead, schedule a time here. The problem is your conversion rate is going to be a lot lower. And I think there are 2 reasons for this. The first reason is it just feels like a bigger task, having to click the link, find a time, fill out all your information again. And it's easier for someone to just respond via text. And the second thing is you have no way of knowing where someone is in that process. You don't know if they clicked the link. You don't know if they clicked the link and then put in their information and they realize that the time slot that they're available, you're not available. So you kind of lose control. Whereas if you keep everything in just back and forth mode via text, you're in complete control. And that leads me to the third point, and that is you want to follow up a lot once someone has shown interest. So once someone responds positively to your marketing messages via text, and then you bring them to that next step, and they don't reply, you want to follow up and just check in. Hey, did you get my last message? Hey, what about this? What about that? Because you have to realize people are busy and they're not always in a place or in a time where they're ready to respond to your messages. So once someone responds positively and you ask them the next question, so an example would be, let's say the first message is saying, hey, would you like me to send you the details? They say yes. And then you say, hey, great. I'd love to give you more of the details. But we also need to learn a little more about your project. So the best thing is to hop on a quick phone call. Do mornings or afternoons typically work better for you? That would be an example question. And if you don't get an answer, you want to be sure that you follow up. Hey, just want to see, like, are our afternoons good? I'd love to send over a few times to talk. So that's just an example. So you really don't want to shy away from those follow-ups. And oftentimes what you'll see is people actually thank you for following up. They'll say, oh, thanks for following up. I got whatever, distracted. I had to go somewhere. And then they will continue to engage and go to that next step. Now, the fourth learning is that you don't want to ask open-ended questions. You do not want to use text messages as a medium to really have an in-depth conversation. You don't want to ask them, hey, tell me more about your project or something like that, because you might get an entire story and it's very difficult to have a real conversation over SMS. So it's important that your questions are always very structured. It's either a binary yes or no question, or mornings or afternoons, this time or that time, because the goal of these text messages are to move your prospect to that next phase, which is typically a phone call or an in-person appointment. Lastly, you want to strike while the iron is hot. And this is super important. So when you send out text messages, a lot of responses will come back right away. And you want to be ready for that. Because if they respond positively and you're not there to engage with them right away, if you wait a few hours, or God forbid, you wait until the next day or a few days, the likelihood of them continuing that interaction and going to the next step is drastically reduced. And that's the reason why when we do campaigns for our clients, we have multiple texting reps that can text back on weekends, on holidays, after hours, whenever it's convenient for your prospects to text back. We want to be sure that we're right there and able to respond to them and take them to that next stage. So those are the 5 things. Again, a quick recap. First, make sure that that initial message is a question with a no-brainer answer, because you want to get people to engage. The second is, don't send links. You want to be in control of the conversation. You want to ask one question at a time. Third, don't be afraid of following up. Follow up a lot after someone has shown interest. Fourth, don't ask open-ended questions. Have binary questions. Have a very structured process. And then on the phone call or in the in-person consultation, that's when you can ask those open-ended questions. And lastly, strike while the iron is hot. When someone responds, you want to be right there responding to them, and you don't want to delay or wait for that response. So if you're doing any sort of text marketing, or if you're interested in doing text marketing for your bathroom remodeling company, and that can be in the form of doing a rehash campaign, basically reaching out to a list of aged leads, or it could be just reaching out to leads that you have coming in from existing campaigns. If you want help in that department, go ahead to remodelboom.com, schedule a call with us, and we'll see how we can help you. Bye.